Hey everyone, welcome back to this next video by Checksmix. In this video, I am going to be doing a really interesting game that I find super interesting and super entertaining, Lev Millman versus Joseph Fang. So without any further ado, let's get into it. We start off with e4, c6, the Carl Khan defense, d4, d5, knight c3, d takes e4, knight takes e4, bishop f5, the classical variation. We have knight g3, bishop g6, h4, h6 to make some room for the bishop back there, or else h5 would be trapping the bishop. And then we have knight to f3, knight to d7, and h5, the Spassky variation. We now have bishop to h7, bishop to d3, bishop takes d3, queen takes d3, e6. We now have bishop to f4, bishop to b4 check. This move doesn't really make any sense because white has this tempo c3. But I don't know. Tell me down in the comment section if you know what this move is all about. We have c3, bishop b7. I don't understand why the bishop just couldn't initially be moved to e7, but yeah, okay. So we have a queenside castles, knight g to f6, king b1 castles, knight e5, c5, hitting at the center, and then we have queen to f3. This is kind of an attacking move, and it's not. And don't get me wrong, it's attacking the king side, not the queen side, because you might say, oh, the b7 pawn is hanging, but you wouldn't really want to take that b7 pawn, because then rook coming to b1 would be super strong in getting an attack on the king on the b file, and it would be opening up the b file, and you wouldn't want that. So we have queen b6, now defending the pawn and maybe even putting a little pressure on the king. During the, I didn't mean to do that move. Via the b file, I was gonna say. Anyways, we have knight takes d7, knight takes d7, d5, e takes d5, and this d5 move, I was going to say, is provoking black to capture this pawn, because then white gets this nice juicy square for his knight on f5, and that is really going to come crucially in attacking this king. So black does capture. We have knight to f5, bishop to f6, getting the bishop out of attack. We have rook takes d5, queen to e6, defending the knight. And then we have bishop takes h6. And you might be wondering, what happens if g takes h6? Note that this was not played in the game. Well, what happens is rook to d6, and this is simply just, queen here is simply just losing the knight on d7, and if we go queen to e8, defending that knight, then we have rook takes f6, knight takes f6, queen g3, and if you want, you can throw a knight g4 in there, but it's going to be mate via the g7 square. Now we have king to h8 and queen to g7, but yeah, I think it was pretty obvious. So instead, after bishop takes h6 here, we have knight to e5, attacking the queen. And now we have queen to e4, knight to c6, queen to f3, knight to e5, queen to e4. And it looks like this is a draw, but after knight to g6, we do not have queen to f3, where it would be a draw by threefold repetition. Instead, after knight to c6, we have queen to g4. And you guys might be wondering, what happens if queen takes d5? And we will get there. But first, I want to bring to your attention that if you play like knight to e5, then we have this really cool move. Rook takes e5, and then we have bishop takes c5, bishop takes d7, king h7, bishop takes f8, rook takes f8, rook e1, rook g8, attacking the queen, queen f3, rook g5, and g4. And this is just completely winning for white. I mean, like, we have these two passers here, and this is quite annoying, and the rook here is kind of, the king is weak, and the rook here is not doing very much. This is completely losing position for black. So, instead, after queen to g4, in this position we have queen to takes d5. And the idea behind this is bishop takes g7. And note that if you take the bishop, then you're just going to get mated. And if you do some sort of weird waiting move like a6, then you're just going to take that bishop with a discovered check, bishop takes f6, and then after you move the king, then the queen will come in and mate you on d7. So instead we have queen to d3, a check. Now we have king to a1, knight to e5, and now we have this really cool move, knight to e7. Same idea. If bishop takes e7, then bishop takes e5. You can throw queen g6 in there, but it doesn't really help at all. You're just going to get mated. So, after knight to e7, we have king to h7. And here is the crucial moment. The moment that earned this game like a really cool game, and in my eyes and in many other eyes. Can you guess the move? It is dun dun dun, queen to g6. Okay. I know you're all excited. What happens if you take the queen? So again, just like in Frank Marshall's game, there are 3 ways that you can take the queen. You can take it with the knight, you can take it with the pawn, and you can also take it with the queen. So let's dive into the queen first. So queen takes g6. Basic idea here, we have h takes g6, a double check, and after king takes g7, which is a forced move, we have rook to h7, mate. So after queen takes g6, if we have knight takes g6, then we have h takes g6, discovered check again, you can't take it, and then king takes g7 and rook to h7. Now, the final variation, what was actually played in the game, was f takes g6. And this is basically the same idea. And it is h takes g6. And then after king takes g7, we have rook takes h7. And that is checkmate. So, what a wonderful way to win this game. Lev Millman versus Joseph Fang. I hope you enjoyed. Please consider subscribing for more awesome chess content. Like the video if you liked it, and leave a comment down below on if you liked this cool tactic, and if you can explain this move, bishop to b4, check. Anyways, have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next video.